Welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'll show you how I create a tree in Blender using built-in sapling tree generator add-on. So without any further ado, let's get started. First press Shift A, go to the curve option and click on sapling tree gen. Here's the tree. At the bottom left you will see a settings bar. Click on it and you will find all settings to customize the tree. Everything from transforming it to adding leaves, armature and even animation. At the bottom there is also a load presets option where you can check out default presets. I have done some research for you and here is a list of all the tree presets in Blender. Before creating a tree, it's important to consider the environment you are working in. For example, if you are building an urban scene, use trees commonly found in cities. If you are creating a mountain or hilly landscape, pick trees suited for that environment. Let me break it down for you. For mountain and hilly areas, use Douglas fir, quaking aspen, small pine and white birch. For urban settings, you can choose Japanese maple, small maple, callistemon, also known as bottle brush tree. For village areas, small pine and white birch are ideal. Some trees like weeping willow and willow can be used in both urban and rural settings, though they might not be as common, but if you like them, feel free to use them. I hope this clears up which trees are best for your environment or custom landscape. Now let's get back to creating our tree. The first setting is bevel resolution. If I increase it to 2 or 3, the branches become smoother and more detailed, but it may affect performance, so I will set it to 2. Next, curve resolution, so I'll set it to 3. The next option we will explore is shape. You'll notice a drop down menu. Let's click on that. Inside you will find options like conical, inverse conical and others. Now let's see how these works. If I choose conical, notice how branches form a cone shape. If I switch to inverse conical, the shape flips and now it forms an inverted cone. Now let's select spherical. As you can see, the branches spread out more evenly in all directions. You can experiment with each of these options, but for this tutorial, I will stick with spherical. Below the shape option, we have branch distribution. This allows you to control how the branches are spaced from bottom to top of the tree. I will adjust mine until it feels just right. This value works for me. Next, there is the tree scale option which lets you resize the entire tree if you need to make your tree larger or smaller. This is where you do it. Now let's move on to the next setting, branch radius. Here we also have the bevel resolution setting which smooth out the edges of the branches, making them look more polished. Be mindful though setting this too high might affect performance, so I recommend keeping it at a moderate level. There is also a radius scale option which adjusts the thickness of trunk and branches. A value of 1 looks good to me. Finally, let's talk about branch splitting. This setting is essential for creating realistic branches. At level 1, there are no splits, but when we move to level 2 and beyond, branches start to split. At level 2, a branch divides into sub-branches, and at level 3, sub-branches splits even further. This process continues and creating sub-branches and beyond. Next, let's talk about the trunk. You can control the number of base plates which affect how the trunk splits. I'll leave it to 1 for now. Then we have the trunk height setting. Use this to adjust the height of the trunk. But don't worry about tweaking every setting. You will skip those we don't need for this tutorial. Now for the branches, you will see option for branch growth, but I usually don't use them. For beginners, it's okay to skip these two. Let's move on to the leaves. First, check the show leaf box. Now you can see the leaves, which looks great. Currently they are hexagonal, but we will change the shape to rectangular to reduce polygon count, which improves performance. Before that, let's adjust the leaf rotation, angles and positioning. You can also increase the number of leaves per branch. You can tweak the leaf scale too. I'll make it a bit larger. Next up, the armature. Enable the use armature option and set the armature level to 1. This creates an armature which is useful for animating the tree. Moving to the animation tab, check the armature animation box. If you have a powerful PC, you can also enable leaf animation, but be careful as it might crash Blender on lower end machines. Let's set the animation speed to 1. The fast preview option lets you see how the tree moves with the wind. If you want to stimulate a storm, increase the wind speed. There are some more settings for wind gust and leaf movements, but we will stick to the basics in this tutorial. Alright, we have got our tree. Now it's time to add some textures. Let's head over the shading menu. First we will texture the leaves. Select the leaf structure and add a new material. With the principal BSDF selected, press Ctrl+Shift+T to load the leaf PNG which you have downloaded. Once it's loaded, you might notice the texture is off. Let's fix that in the UV editing menu. Adjust the UV ramp until the leaves look right. If needed, tweak the Z rotation and we are good. Now let's move on to the trunk. Press Ctrl+Shift+T, browse for the texture and apply it. I've downloaded a texture from Polyhaven. If it looks off, remember the trunk is still a curve, so right click and convert it to mesh. Now press U, choose Smart UV Project and adjust the margins. Let's scale the texture to about 50, which looks great. Now let's check it out in render mode. First switch the render engine to cycles and set feature set to experimental and switch device to GPU compute. For quicker results, set viewport samples to 24 and render samples to 32. Don't forget to enable viewport denoising. Since there is no light, click the drop down arrow and uncheck scene world. I'll lower the opacity to 0 and set the strength to 2 so we can see the tree properly. If you notice a black part in leaf, it's because we are using a PNG. So for this, just connect the alpha output to alpha input to make the dark areas transparent. Hide the armature for now. And that's it, we have created our own custom tree. No need to scroll endlessly for free assets. You can now tweak it for any environment you need. If you are still with me, thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.